welcome to our Boostability webinar. This is all about digital marketing to close out 2019 on top. We hope you're all doing well today. We have Curtis Warren from Boostability. He's our lead acquisition manager, and Greg Sterling from Uberall, who is the VP of Market Insights, here to share some of their best ideas on different ways that you can implement some small business or some digital marketing services for the rest of the year. So I'm going to turn it over to them to give a quick introduction on themselves.
Hi, everybody. How are you doing? My name is Curtis Warren. Like Christine said, I'm the lead acquisition manager here for Boostability. I've been in the digital marketing space for about 6 or 7 years now, and I manage a team that runs most of our lead acquisition and email marketing.
And I'm Greg Sterling, and I've been around for about 20 years in digital media and marketing, specifically with an emphasis on location. I write for Search Engine Land, Marketing Land, and I'm the VP of Market Insights for Uberall. And I'm excited to be here and talk about some of these things. And we hope you have a lot of questions that we can answer at the end.
For all of our listeners out there, we are live tweeting at Boostability, so you can follow us there or ask any questions that way, or you can also ask here through the GoToWebinar platform. And then we have it scheduled to take about 45 minutes, and we'll answer all of your questions at the end. So with that, Greg, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, great. So I'm going to just provide some context, some introduction, and then Curtis is going to take it over and talk about tactics. And I'll provide some color commentary, and then we'll get to your questions at the end. So on this first slide, what we see is that we've got a really compressed holiday shopping period this year because Thanksgiving is late. It's on November 28th. So we've got effectively less than a month until Christmas. And so that means that people are going to likely front load their shopping. This is what the survey data say. And especially around Black Friday and so-called Cyber Monday, there'll be a lot of activity. And then after that, it will shift more from e-commerce into traditional retail. But it's going to be a very front-loaded shopping period this year. So that's something to keep in mind and really not delay in getting started. It's also important to really understand that a lot of consumer activity and research is going to start on mobile devices, on smartphones. Everybody knows this from their own behavior. There's a lot of survey data, but these particular stats say that about 70% of the audience is going to use a smartphone to shop. People will use them at home. They'll use them in stores. Mobile traffic is higher than web traffic, although most e-commerce purchases still take place on the internet, on the PC rather. And it's important to recognize ultimately that 90% of Q4 shopping will happen in stores, meaning the transactions will happen in stores, although increasingly people are buying online and picking up in stores. On this slide that you see now, it shows a range of resources that consumers use. So this is not something to intimidate you. This is just to illustrate. Again, you can reference your own behavior. People go to different resources as they try and do research on products, and it depends on the product. Reviews are very important. That's in the upper right. Almost 90% of internet users are going to read reviews, just as all of you do. People will use search engines. People are going to go to branded retail sites. They're going to use shopping apps, social media, traditional media. So it's important to cover the key areas that people will visit as they do research. And we're going to talk more about that in a minute. But just recognize that people will use a range of different sites and channels to get information before making buying decisions. Again, most of which will happen offline. Okay, so Curtis, back to you.
Of course. So what we want to talk about here is, like Greg mentioned, we'll be discussing a few tools and things to try and help you succeed. So as a small business, it can be hard to know where to allocate your budget or know how to best utilize it effectively. So today we'll talk about some tools and actionable items for you to implement into your holiday season marketing plans. Online optimizations. So as we mentioned on slide 4, 58% of consumer research will take place on search engines. With this in mind, it's recommended that your Google My Business profile is optimized. If you're a local business, you'll want to optimize your profile. Info, you want to optimize your information, based on your NAP or name, address, and phone number. You'll want to optimize your business hours, and you'll want to accommodate to holidays and times open, times closed. And again, this is applicable to local storefronts. You'll also want to make sure that you're using current and up-to-date photos of your store. Of course, this is also applicable if you're a small business and so on. You can also use this business profile tool to post about events, current promotions, and any status updates that may be applicable to your consumers or customers. So this gives you the ability to communicate directly with your customers through your business profile on Google. This profile is how customers quickly get answers to their questions. It's where voice search apps like Siri, Alexa, and so on get their responses from. And it gives you the ability to create an offer and promote exclusively to your customers and take those promotions and push them to social media followers and email subscribers as well. So again, it's very crucial and important that you focus on your business profile information and optimize that effectively.
So I would add that if you do only one thing to prepare for the holidays, it's probably this. It's probably claiming your profile, and as Curtis said, getting all that information lined up. And you're going to want to add a lot of photos of if you have products that you sell, if you have work product, get that into the profile. Upload those photos because that helps people make decisions, gives them confidence to buy. Fully flesh out the information on your Google My Business profile. And that's going to help you also with mobile, which we're going to be talking about in a second.
Cool. So let's segue into mobile and kind of talk about the value there. So with almost 60% of all online searches coming from a mobile device, definitely 2019, it doesn't look like it's going to be going anywhere in 2020 as well. We recommend that you make sure your site is both mobile and desktop optimized and or friendly. We recommend that you make sure that mobile searchers can find what they need within just a few screen taps. Studies have shown that between 1 to 3 seconds is what it takes to make an impression on your site. If your site doesn't engage that visitor within that time frame, they've more than likely either moved on or backed out from your website and moved on to your competitors or your competition. So if your website's not mobile optimized, we highly recommend taking care of that. And of course, the best way to achieve that is to work with either a developer who's built your website and try and get that developed into a mobile responsive platform that can respond between all the different browser types and sizing. If not, there are third-party companies and tools like Boostability that can provide an affordable, responsive website experience that responds to your browser dimensions accordingly and still provides the right user experience to captivate and capture the traffic to focus on your product or services.
So I would say all of that is exactly right. You need to have a website that renders both on PCs and mobile devices and renders quickly on mobile devices. But given there's such little time to the end of the year, if you have a bad site or a site that's not loading or that isn't mobile friendly, again, the Google My Business profile and as much content that's relevant in there as possible is going to help compensate for that, because a lot of consumers will do a search on a smartphone and get the information that they need either to make a call or send a text or book an appointment directly through Google My Business, and they don't go to a website at all. Many people do click through to websites, and websites provide additional or deeper information, but if you don't have time to go to Boostability or another party and get that website lined up before the end of the year, and you can speak to how quickly that process is, then Google My Business is your best bet in terms of maximizing your exposure on mobile.
Yeah, and I agree with Greg here. He brings up a fantastic point that your GMB profile or your Google My Business profile is going to be your best quick action tool, not only with all of the capabilities that Google My Business provides, but with Google moving Google My Business to an app format as well, that also gives you a touch in not only just the search market, but you're also a touch within your maps market. So your business can be found on map searches and things of that nature. So this is a great way to get a mobile-friendly profile of your business into an area where mobile users are actually searching. Okay, so let's talk about pay-per-click ads here real quick. Let's talk about reviews. So as a consumer, we all know that online reviews can be a very helpful tool to help get that final push to a customer to make that purchase. But with online reviews, we also find that 85% of adults read customer or consumer reviews. So this is mine positive reviews can be a strong tool to help your customers make that decision to purchase your product or service. And of course, we strongly recommend that you use some of the most trusted review sites and tools out there between Google and Yelp to help grow your reputation. So as an example, with Google, we recommend that you monitor all reviews and comments and respond to these. It may seem like a no-brainer, but in many cases, these response to comments can either be leads to a happy customer or refine a customer from a negative review to a positive review. And this is also crucial to keeping your profile and managing that review the way your business looks online. Now with Yelp, they don't receive as much traffic as Google My Business, but people do come to Yelp with intent to buy. So we highly recommend that you manage your Yelp profile as well and make sure that you're responding and working with your customers on that aspect.
So we can't see everybody on the other end of this webinar, and so we don't know exactly how who's here and how many people have a lot of reviews, how many people don't have reviews. So I'm going to just sort of speak to the general points here to follow up on what Curtis was saying. Reviews are critical. That's what these early slides say. People consult them before making buying decisions. You guys all do it. Google and Yelp are the two. There's Google, Yelp, and Facebook. These are the three most important review platforms. Google and Yelp in particular you can focus on. You should also claim your Yelp profile. Yelp ranks very highly in organic search results, so people who have claimed and fully built out Yelp profiles also benefit in organic SEO. So that'll show up in Google's search results as well. So that's another reason to do it. But you know, the general advice is ask all your customers for reviews. Chances are the vast majority will be positive. That's what the data show. Unless you have some horrible track record or something, most of your customers overwhelmingly are going to say good things about you. And review volume matters. If you have more reviews and better scores, you're going to rank higher on Google. That's an explicit part of their local ranking algorithm. So reviews are important for multiple reasons. Don't do what's called review gating, which is to work with somebody who will filter reviews and send all the bad reviews one way and all the good reviews to the web. Google and Yelp both frown on that. It violates their terms. Ask everybody for a review. Yelp is more complicated because they don't want anybody to solicit reviews. So you can't really ask your customers to review you on Yelp. You can say you have a Yelp profile or something more indirect. On Google, you can ask them to review you. We could do a whole hour on reviews alone. Hopefully there'll be some questions that we can answer, but that's sort of the high level.
And that's great. And as a side note also, a majority of people and adults under the age of 55, studies show that their review consumption generally occurs on smartphones. So making sure that you're controlling your review profile on Google My Business is also a great way to get your reputation in the smartphone market as well. Okay, so we're going to talk about PPC ads for a minute here. If you're looking for some quick wins or quick traffic to your website, pay-per-click ads or PPC ads can be a great option for your business to drive interest to your products or services. So PPC visitors are twice as likely to make a purchase over organic visitors. And this is likely because of a proper PPC ad hits the right search intent and appears at the top of your search result, where about 41% of clicks go directly to these top 3 paid ads. In a market where 60% of searches are happening on a mobile device, these top 3 to 4 positions are key to getting your message right in front of these people who are going to drop off within 1 to 4 seconds. So with consumers see on average about 1,700 banner ads as well per month, with only about half of these ads getting actual engagement compared to search ads. So in a nutshell, PPC ads can be a really fantastic way to get your product, service, or business in front of an organic search market and really touch base on that quick 1 to 3 second turnaround time. And I mentioned this earlier, if your ad is set up properly, and you can definitely really get a foot in that market.
If your site isn't ranking, if you're having trouble showing up in search results, if you're on the second page of Google, the third page of Google, doing a search ad is really the fastest way you can get exposure. So it's a way to compensate for an organic presence that doesn't show up, and it's also a complement to an organic presence that does. I mean, there's data that show if you have both organic and paid position on Google that you do better than if you had just one or the other. But this is something that's very important, especially during the holiday season. This is one of the few things that you can really control. You can control your data online in Google My Business and Yelp, and you can control paid search ads. You can't control rankings as well. And it really makes sense to work with a partner, work with a company or an agency that knows what they're doing here. I mean, Google AdWords or now Google Ads are set up to be self-service, but most people don't have the time to develop the expertise necessary to do well. So even if you're kind of a sophisticated person intellectually about how these ads work, if you haven't run a campaign before, if you're really not able to invest the time in learning how to do this, and it's quite a commitment, it's best just to talk to somebody who does this professionally and figure out a budget, figure out your objectives, and work with a partner. And this is something that you could look at very closely for this holiday season, because as Curtis said, it's a way to get a quick win and some visibility for your products or services.
So we'll kind of shift the direction on that. We'll talk about how PPC can work very well with a well thought out SEO strategy. So PPC ads are a fantastic tool to drive traffic to your business. But however, we find a good PPC campaign works best when paired with a solid SEO efforts on your website. And here's how SEO and PPC marriage strategy can really effectively work for you. Essentially, when you have these two running in tandem, you'll see an increased brand awareness as your Google My Business profile can rank within a search result, as well as your website on top of your paid ad. So you have a very good amount of exposure there. Your finely tuned SEO and PPC campaigns can produce great local intent leads to your business. So as an example, like I mentioned earlier, your GMB reinforces your organic results as well as the paid ads you're putting out there. You'll find that better overall targeting, increased visibility, and in some cases, better PR control utilizing your Google My Business profile and Google reviews stand out in a search result, while paid ads would kind of reinforce that search result as you're the leader or the top result in that search query.
Yeah, if you've got it, as the graphic indicates, if you've really got it all working in tandem here, you're getting exposure at the top of the search results and ads in the Google My Business, what's called the local pack informally, and then in organic SEO. So that would be an optimal exposure situation, and it's possible. It's entirely possible with the kinds of tips that Curtis is giving. So on to the next slide.
Okay, so we'll shift gears and talk about social media here for a minute. So social media in 2019, 2020 can be a fantastic tool for your business to utilize to help get your message, product, or service in front of the right audience. However, if your business doesn't have a large enough social media following, it may not make a lot of sense to focus on social media as a marketing strategy during the holiday season. And this may be more of a long-term play to grow your audience down the road, or maybe something you'll work on in 2020. However, if you do have a decent-sized audience or a good social media presence for your business, this could be a really useful tool to use during this holiday season. So if your business does have a good following on social media, we recommend you utilize profiles like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and take advantage of the ability to get your message, product, service in front of your audience and kind of cater that towards the holiday as well. Facebook's still the market leader with about 68% of American adults having a profile. And Instagram, which is a Facebook product now, has about 500 million Instagram stories uploaded every day. So this produces a lot of exposure that your business can get in front of. So with the amount of exposure, we recommend you take advantage of this tool and try and promote your products or services and get that first touch in the minds of your customers. And if these are people that are following your pages, it's very likely they know what your business is and they just need that nice little nudge over the edge to confirm that you're the right decision to go with product, service, wherever the case may be. Another very useful tool to utilize in the social media world is paid advertising. With the amount of users and targeting data that social media platforms provide advertisers, you can promote your products or services to the right customer at the right time and get that first touch in the minds of their target without actually having to have them follow your business. So when they do enter the buyer's buying stage, they have your business at the top of that consideration, and potentially you can grow your organic following utilizing these tools as well.
So most people on this webinar probably do have a social media presence. I'm speculating because that tends to be one of the top three things that local businesses and local entrepreneurs target. Social media, website, email, and organic search tend to be the top four channels that people use. So assuming you do have a presence, it's a great place to do promotions for the holidays if that's applicable to your business, discounts or special offers or events that may be promotional. That's a great thing to do. But then in order to really get exposure to a broader audience in social media, as Curtis indicated, you do need to buy ads. Facebook has limited the reach of organic social media, the stuff that you just do on your page, and really to get to a bigger audience and to build awareness, you do need to do some sort of advertising. And it's a bit easier to do that on Facebook in a self-service context, and you can also put ads on Instagram at the same time. Again, optimal to work with a partner that is an expert, but in this context, it's a little bit easier to do things like boost posts or do your own campaigns. It doesn't require quite as much expertise as paid search.
So moving on, email marketing in the context of a marketing tool generally continues to be the most successful business marketing tool available. It doesn't look like that's going to be slowing down much in 2020. So with this in mind, we obviously recommend all businesses start using this tool. However, if this tool can really only be useful if you have a good database of potentials or potential customers that you can market and send emails out to. So if you're new to email marketing, you may want to consider using it, but also if this is probably going to be a long-term strategy for you as well, and you want to maybe start utilizing some tactics to build your contact database for down the road strategy. However, if you do have a decent sized database and you do have a good customer base within your email marketing platform, again, it's a key player in the holiday marketing strategy. So as an example, in 2018, H&M gave exclusive 20% off entire store purchase coupon codes out as their holiday email marketing promotion. And this likely drove extremely high amounts of sales and foot traffic to their actual storefronts, which was a great way to drive traffic and increase their sales during the high volume shopping eras of the holiday season. Another great way to promote your business is to use email marketing effectively with holiday promotions and coupons for upcoming things like Black Friday, Christmas shopping season, and so on. For example, 25% off a single item may hold an appeal to a broader audience rather than a free giveaway for a specific item. Consumers tend to open and save emails with promotions or coupons for products they're already interested in, and using that to your advantage and building broader promotions can be a great way to get foot traffic into your store or on your online shop that may not have been there prior or may not have spent a lot of time prior to that as well. So email marketing also is a great tool to utilize retention and loyalty. So we recommend taking reward loyalty into account by using your existing customers as well as driving new customers to receive discounts and promotions by sending out additional emails that offer a loyalty discount or some kind of effective way to drive sales and retention through growing that medium from customers who've already purchased before. So we also recommend that email marketing is a great way to create kind of a gift-giving guide during this holiday shopping season. Send it out to your email list. These guides center around what a customer could give a wife, father, sibling, boss, etc. And they also help customers get thinking about how your business can meet their gifting needs and get what you offer product service-wise in front of people who may not have known that that's what you do, what you can offer, or what solution you can provide.
So the only two things I would add to that are your email list, your customer list is arguably your biggest asset, and it's something to build over the long term. It's as Curtis said, it's one of the most successful marketing channels according to the data, and you know this from your own experience. But the only final point I would make is that you have to think about your customers opening email on a mobile phone. Think about yourself. This is probably where you read most of your email as well. So you have to, most of the email platforms will format your emails in a responsive way to be read on a mobile phone. But just in terms of the number of images and the text and the density of the text and all these considerations, look at the emails that you think are effective on your own phone and use those as models for yourself. most of your customers will be looking at your email on their phone, so that's something to keep in mind. So back to you, Curtis.
All right, let's talk about video real quick. So video is a hidden gem marketing tool that sadly we don't see a lot of small businesses use. So as an example, Facebook video views are video viewers on Facebook generally spend about 5 times longer watching video content rather than text or image posts. And so with this tool, it's applicable to consumer life, but business posting as well. So with this in mind, video is a great way to get more engagement on your social media profiles. Another key point here is HubSpot says about 85% of people are more likely to purchase after viewing a product video. And AgroPulse says Facebook native videos have about 86% higher reach than similar content on YouTube. So again, a video is just this great tool to promote your business or product or services on an organic platform as well as an advertising platform. Some of the best ways to use videos in a short term would be to utilize YouTube, Facebook, and so on. YouTube provides the platform for you to upload your videos and also gives you many ways to share your videos. Facebook and Instagram not only provide video posting organically, but you can utilize these videos to promote through paid advertising and kind of get your message in front of that target audience that's really hyper focused on, what your product or service is really geared towards. Also remember that you don't need a professional video to make an impact. We've seen many small businesses use simple things as an iPhone to create quick and easy videos of their products or service or offerings to push on social media platforms that really does build attention and kind of garners a lot of traffic. So again, video is a great hidden gem tool that we recommend people start utilizing and kind of intertwining with other aspects. Highly recommend social media and video as well.
So YouTube is a huge search engine. People often don't think of YouTube as a search engine, but it is. And people search YouTube for lots of how-to information, how to assemble this, how to repair that, how do I do this or that. So if you have any products or services that sort of fall into that how-to category, how to repair something, what to look for in buying something, these are great content opportunities for you, and they will also show up in Google search results because YouTube is indexed by Google and it often shows up at the top of search results. So if somebody was looking to repair to repair a faucet, a bathroom faucet, for example, that's a sort of a mundane example and not necessarily a holiday example, but people will go to YouTube for that kind of information. Then they find videos and they watch them. Those often will show up in search results. So you get a kind of a double benefit from doing video, and it's also a great branding tool for you. So it can be very specific around a product or a service, but it also helps with awareness for your business.
Cool. So we're going to kind of wrap this webinar up and give you guys some pro tips to kind of take home from what we've discussed today. So in conclusion, here are some of our pro tips and things to think about. You're going to want to think about your objectives. Don't try to do everything. Focus on a few key tactics that leverage your business's strengths and run with those tactics. You always have time to grow next year in areas that your business doesn't have strength in as well, and work on longer term strategies. But we do recommend to focus on key tactics and leverage that as of now during this shopping season. Create a content calendar. This is something a lot of businesses don't think about, but we highly recommend that you track and start to think strategically about the content that your business produces and promotes, as well as utilizing cross-promote with other relevant local businesses. Again, this is just another tool. A lot of businesses don't think about ways that you can expand your reach. Working with other relevant local businesses and cross-promoting can be a great way to bring in customers that didn't know your business was there or existed into your fold. We also recommend that you create an incentive for referrals from existing customers. A retained customer is honestly your best customer, and they will bring in other organic customers as well. So we highly recommend you treat your current customers as your best lead. We do recommend also that you create a profile on Nextdoor you can hyper-local focus your targeting on offers, which is, again, just a great tool people don't think a lot about.
Yeah, just to stress the first and the last point, I completely agree that you should not try and do everything, especially if we're talking about just the holiday period, you're going to spread yourself too thin. You got to focus. Just do a couple of things well or relatively well. Don't try and do all the things that we talked about today. And then in terms of Nextdoor, most people on this webinar probably are either on Nextdoor themselves or know somebody on Nextdoor, and they just introduced, I forget what they're calling it, it's something like local offers or similar product. You have to have a business profile, which is easy to set up or claim, and then you can target offers, which is, free this or 20% off this or 10%. You get to control that offer entirely to a radius. I think it's zip code targeting, but it's pretty simple and straightforward. So you pick the areas that you want to reach, and then it'll show that ad in the feed on Nextdoor to your potential customers. So that's a little utilized and relatively new capability. And you can use the same offer across multiple platforms. If you have one offer that you want to promote broadly, you can use it on social media and Nextdoor and in Google My Business in the area called Google Posts. And that's one way to get broad distribution for an offer. Or alternatively, you could create slightly different offers and use those to track which of these particular channels is working by which offers are redeemed.
Awesome. So we'll wrap this up and give you guys a few actionable items just real quick. Google My Business. Optimize your profile to its fullest and use it. It's a free tool and it's fantastic. Email marketing. Take advantage of the shopping season and promote. Social media ads. Get your product in front of the right customers quickly. Straightforward, very simple, drive traffic. PPC can be very good for quick wins, but paired with a solid SEO strategy, you can drive heavy amounts of traffic and sales to your website. Very useful marketing tools as well.
Great. So,
sorry,
Greg, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's jump into questions. I don't have anything to add to that.
Sounds good. We've gotten a few through here our platform, and again, if you still have time to submit through GoToWebinar or at Boostability on Twitter. So one here says, are keywords valuable in Google reviews and responses?
I wouldn't say that they're valuable. Google's algorithm doesn't really categorize reviews based off of keyword search intent. Google has several different ways they can filter out reviews. So as an example, when you're on the mobile platform, you can filter by most recent, you can filter by most relevant, things of that nature. And none of that is really keyword focused. On an organic standpoint, people can take keyword focuses into consideration. So let's say you sell a product, very specific product, and people leave a review that leaves the name of that product. You could see where an organic searcher who's going through those reviews is skimming through and looking for that keyword itself. But again, those are kind of very specific, circumstances. A majority of reviewers won't necessarily leave very specific circumstances like that unless it's an actual product review.
Yeah, I would say it's. I mean, what I infer from the question is that somebody is trying to shape the review and get certain keywords embedded in the review. There are certain SEOs that will make the recommendation that you try and do that, or that you try and influence the review. And I think that that's just too hard. And you want to get the review, and beyond that, just let your customers write their review, and hopefully they're mostly positive. And if you do see negative reviews or critical reviews, you need to respond to them within 24 hours. And if it's really sort of a crisis situation, you want to do it more quickly. I think 24 hours for a critical review is kind of a best practice. You don't need to respond to every positive review. It's nice to acknowledge them, but you don't need to respond to every single one. And you certainly don't want to write a generic wooden canned response to every single review. Thank you for your review, et cetera, identical language, because people will see that and think you're a robot. I mean, you want to be authentic. You want your personality to come through, and just thank people and respond however appropriate based on the content of those reviews. But it's really important to respond to negative reviews, because your next customer is going to be looking at those reviews, and if there's a real problem, they want to see how you've responded. Again, that's a very superficial kind of set of recommendations. We could go on much longer, but that's sort of the high level.
Great. Another question we got was, This is from a partner who services small businesses through his digital marketing agency. And he says, none of my clients focus on social media. How can I get them to understand the importance of it?
Greg, you want to start on this one?
Well, sure. I mean, the obvious answer, which may or may not be persuasive to your customers, is show them the data. There's plenty of data that show consumers engage with social media. That social media is going to have an influence on purchase decisions. I mean, if you send me an email, greg.sterling@uberall.com, I can send you some stats and stuff. That's one way. A more powerful way is probably to show examples of, or in addition to that, would be to show examples of competitors in their particular industries that are using social media. That's very persuasive. People tend to be, kind of react emotionally and want to, they want to respond somehow if they're not present and their competitor is present. So if you have examples of competitors that have followings or seem to have a pretty effective social media presence, that's a good way. There's also an app. Well, never mind. I don't know if the app still exists. I was going to make a recommendation. I don't know if the app still exists. But those are two quick ways. Send me an email and I'll send you some data that you can share. And I'm sure that Curtis and Boostability also have that information too.
Yeah, just as a side note, sometimes what we have historically told our customers to try and let them know the value of social media is think of it as a long-term organic play. It's essentially free advertising in a sense where if you can grow your social media following to people who are actually generally interested in your product or service, you can really get those hyper-focused messages in front of these people for free, and it doesn't cost a lot of marketing dollars. So it doesn't, your marketing budgets don't take the huge hit that it would be necessary for like paid advertising on a social platform. A lot of people struggle with the idea that it's going to take time. It's a long-term play. But in the end, if you do grow it properly, the results pay itself off in dividends.
Great. Okay, this is another question kind of along the same lines. It says, is social posting beneficial to website SEO? And are these posts, sending social signals that increase domain authority? What's the current consensus?
So what I would say along those lines, Google's come out and said that social media posts do not provide any link juice or anything along those lines to kind of boost your authority. But the value of social media posting is in connection to your website, of course, is traffic. The more traffic you drive to your website, that's an individual factor that Google takes into consideration as well. So that you can improve let's say you have a specific product page that you are trying to grow in a SERP organically, you can start feeding traffic from social media platforms for free that can essentially help kind of show Google and give signals to Google that there is interest in this page and that you are more authoritative than your competitors. And that's probably your best outlook when it comes to SEO and social media combined.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that.
Okay. We've got about 5 minutes left and still a couple of questions. So this next one is, what is the best way to start PPC ads? Is there a particular vendor that you suggest?
Well, I would say that just kind of depends on your budget and depends on what you're going after. The problem with PPC ads is it's a market, and you're going to pay more for higher intent keywords than you're going to pay for lower intent keywords. So if you're a local business, you're going to pay less for paid advertising than you would for paying to get your keywords in front of the national audience. So you could theoretically actually reach out to Google. Google does have support that can set you up basic campaigns and get you kind of hyper-focused for free. That doesn't necessarily drain marketing budget there. But if you do have higher end budgets and you're really trying to get in front of a lot of people, we recommend reaching out to anybody that's a professional. Agencies are stereotypically your best bet when it comes down to vendors. And in some cases, based on spend, Google actually can provide support for higher level companies that spend a lot and so on that can optimize your profile, or optimize your campaigns and get things rolling from there as well. Greg, do you have anything to add to that?
Okay, well, I think this is sort of ultimately a question about how do you find an agency that's going to do a good job, and there are lots of resources online there's a website called UpCity. You can talk to people who, if you have colleagues or you know people who are doing search marketing. I mean, that's sort of your best bet, is to try and find an agency through a combination of online reviews and word of mouth. But you should work with somebody if you're really serious about PPC, because even though Google has tried to make their ads more accessible to self-service, they're not. It's hard to run those campaigns effectively. The one exception may be local service ads. If you're driving phone calls, if you're interested in phone calls, you can try those out. Those are budget-based, sort of fixed fee per call campaigns, and that's something to check into. It's a different kind of ad than traditional Google ads, local service ads. So that's something you could do on your own if phone calls are the currency that you operate with.
Thank you. One last question. We do have a few more, but we are running out of time. So for those that we don't get to, we'll address those on our own. So this one says, do you have any seasonal suggestions to target per country for year-end promotions?
Well, seasonal suggestions. I'm assuming what they're referencing to is, during the holiday season, how do I get my promotion in front of people in other countries? That's a tough question. Utilizing paid ads as an example, like Google AdWords, you can absolutely get, or even Facebook as well, you can absolutely get your paid advertisement in front of targeted audiences based off of location. Google Ads may not be your best bet because your ad is going to be generally focused rather than promotion focused. So social media may be a little bit better tool to utilize in this aspect. But when it comes to seasonal stuff, that's a tough one because some target countries may not follow that same season. But you could take that and kind of turn it into a promotion that's not necessarily seasonal and kind of focus towards the customer itself and promote within that location as well. But Greg, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I would just say, I mean, I don't have any personal experience with running international campaigns. I would say you want to find an agency that has done this, that does international paid search or paid social, and work with them. I think it's really a recipe for blowing through your budget and maybe not having an effective campaign if you try and do anything yourself. So I think you would need to find somebody who's got experience in this, and those people are out there. I don't have anybody to recommend though, but they're discoverable.
Okay, great. Thank you to both Greg and Curtis for their great insights into this webinar. We hope you've all found it helpful. For those of you who did ask, there were still a couple questions that we haven't gotten to. We will respond to you privately, like one-on-one. We will also post this webinar on our Boostability social media channels and on our YouTube page, so you'll be able to watch this again if you need to. So with that, thank you to both Greg and Curtis, and to all of you for tuning in, and hope you have a great holiday season ahead.